Thank you very much. Okay.
A lot of people have tried to blame the decline in literacy on the COVID-19 pandemic. During the lockdown, students were forced to switch to virtual education, which was far from a smooth transition. Teachers had to adapt quickly to new platforms on a whim. Their usual lesson plans were either modified or scrapped entirely, resulting in students missing units that were taught in previous years. Wi-Fi connection issues delayed and shortened learning. Being quarantined 24/7 also impacted the mental health of students, increasing the feelings of fear, anxiety, and especially cabin fever. According to the Pew Research Center, when comparing the percentage of students that read for fun, who were ages 9 and 13, there was a notable decrease in 2020 versus 2012, regardless of race. But this decline in casual reading was merely a symptom of a larger issue. The Annie Casey Foundation conducted a study from 2021 to 2022 and noted that less than a third of fourth graders were at or above proficient in reading. Even though the pandemic did have an impact on education, it would be a lie to say that the rise in illiteracy was due to COVID.
I'm reading to help myself speak better. We set in 15 minutes on the clock. We're at the end of the book. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. It is currently January 13th, 2:46. To change, you have to know which agreements you want to change before you can change them. So the next step is to develop awareness of all the self-limiting fear-based beliefs that make you unhappy. You take an inventory of all that you believe, all your agreements, and through this process, you begin the transformation.
Former Twitch streamer Kai Cenat was 24 years old during the time of the video. He graduated high school back in 2019, 1 year before the pandemic, and yet he shows signs of low literacy. As mentioned earlier, according to the Annie Casey Foundation, quote, less than a third of fourth graders were at or above proficient in reading, end quote. But this was only, quote, 2 percentage points lower than right before the pandemic, end quote. Meaning 66% of fourth graders were not meeting their expected reading level in 2019. So, if COVID didn't cause the decline in education, what did? For those who don't know, phonics is basically knowing how to sound out letters and letter groupings in order to read. Phonics has been used as far back as 1690, but it's still extremely effective. With phonics, you can see a word for the first time and read it. Pneumo ultra microscopic silico volcano oconiosis.
Luminas atracicropis eglicolavacanalysis.
Phonics follows a bottom-up approach, where you focus on the letter before the word. For example, when you see the letter A, you know it makes the ah sound. You see the letter C and H together, you know it makes the ch sound. Even though phonics has worked for over 360 years, not everyone was a fan of it. I present to you Horace Mann, aka the father of common schools. Horace Mann was a politician that was a huge advocate for free education, being the Secretary of Massachusetts Board of Education from 1837 to 1848. Horace Mann had 6 core beliefs. 1. A republic cannot be both ignorant and free, so universal education is a must.
Very historic action that was 45 years in the making. In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all.
Two, public interest must pay for, control, and sustain education.
Republicans in the State House have proposed a bill that would have an impact on public school funding. The potential legislation would eliminate school property tax while raising others.
First, it pretends to provide property tax relief, but in reality, it's a tax shift. It jacks up sales and income taxes that hit seniors and working families hardest. You know, that's not relief, that's kind of a raid.
Rick Galena, director of Citizens for Carlisle Schools, says the bill would cost Carlisle Public Schools $15 million in funding a year, and across the state, there would be $4 billion in funding lost.
3, I'll get to this point later. I'll get to 3 later. 4, schools should be ethical and moral, but be free of religious influence.
We will support bringing back prayer to our schools.
The department put out a request for proposals looking for a company to pick up the contract to supply those Bibles. They say the Bibles must be the King James Version for historical accuracy and contain both the Old and New Testaments.
5, education should reflect the values of a free society, avoiding strict teaching methods in the process.
We educate children by batches and govern their lives by ringing bells. All day long, students do nothing but follow instructions. Sit down, take out your books, turn to page 40, solve problem number 3, stop talking. At school, you're rewarded for doing exactly what you are told. These are industrial age values that were really important for factory workers. Their success depended on following instructions and doing exactly what they were told.
6, education should be taught by well-trained professional teachers.
What are you doing?
But here, co-founder Mackenzie Price says the grown-ups in the classroom are not called teachers because they're not teaching the curriculum.
Decision must be unanimous. Decide amongst yourselves.
They're called guides, more like motivational mentors / tech support.
It's okay that our guides aren't experts in physics or math.
It almost sounds like the guides here are told, you're not here to teach, you're here to lead the kids to AI.
Our guides are not allowed to teach.
So yeah, America is not doing so hot. So I skipped over Horace Mann's 3rd principle, which was education should be in schools that embrace children of all religious, social, and ethnic backgrounds.
Boo Kanute is a rising sophomore at Smith College and works here this summer teaching chemistry to high schoolers for Smith's STEM program. She was reading in the dining hall of the Tyler House dorm here Tuesday.
Next thing you know, I see the cop walk in with a Smith employee whom I've never seen before. And the man asked me, we were wondering why you're here.
She says police told her an employee had called about a suspicious black man. She recorded video with her phone.
We were wondering why you were here.
Oh, I was eating lunch. I'm working the summer program.
Adding her own text on Instagram with a post that's prompted outrage from supporters.
It just still upsets me to just talk about it because I don't even feel safe on my own campus and I'm away from home. I'm the first in my family to go to college.
I just want to emphasize that Horace Mann was saying this back in the 1840s, 25 years before slavery was abolished, demonstrating how he truly believed that education was a fundamental right for everyone, not just white Christians. Even though Horace Mann stood on business when it came to education, the man hated phonics. Horace Mann thought it was extremely boring. His descriptions of letters were, quote, skeleton-shaped, bloodless, ghostly apparitions, end quote. Horace Mann was worried that if students focused too much on the individual letters, they would lose focus on the meaning of the word. And low-key, he wasn't wrong.
Are you tired of definitions? Do you just want to say the word in books without knowing the plot? Then being a word caller is right for you. Word callers are people who are able to pronounce the words they see correctly, but without any comprehension. Here is famous actress, singer, and word calling Lea Michele.
And he said something like so wild, but what was trending online more was Lea Michele can't read. And Ryan Murphy called me and he was like, have you heard this rumor? And I was like, no, what's going on? And like, yeah, the fact that we are here all these years later. Give me I'm reading them.
I'm sick.
I didn't memorize it. Jonathan is not here to read me this shit. Okay, ready? I placed first in my debate competition and qualified for nationals. What does this word say?
So, if Horace Mann was anti-phonics, what did he like? The answer, whole language learning. Whole language learning is the idea that reading is a natural, unconscious process. So students should be immersed in books to learn how to read. And immerse, we did. With whole language model, emphasis is on the meaning of text rather than the phonics that make it. Phonics had all these drills, but whole language model gave you plot. The idea was students would read and memorize sight words. That way they didn't have to go through phonics. This led to a rise in look-say books from the 1940s to 60s. Popular books like The Cat in the Hat use the whole language model approach. And whole language model also allowed for shows like The Book of Virtues. And of course, it also brought Reading Rainbow. It seemed like whole language model was the way to go. Popular books like The Cat in the Hat use the whole language model approach.
What? The Cat in the Hat won. I sat there with Sally. We sat there with two. And I said, how I wish we had something to do.
So yeah, it actually made reading a lot worse. With whole language model, 3 cueing came with it. So today we are reading a sentence using the 3 cueing technique. The blank flew away. I don't know what that word is saying, but I see there's a picture of a duck. So I'm assuming the word must be duck. Okay, so yeah, guys, that's pretty much 3 cueing. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, you can turn the page now. Three cueing relied on students guessing unknown words or skipping them entirely. And this caused a lot of problems because students were now limited to the words that they were taught because they had poor or no phonics skills. Adin Ross ironically showed how whole language model techniques like 3Qing aren't effective at all.
It means you are a far right authorization on ultra analytic. Oh my God, ultra analytis.
You can see his use of phonics is very limited, so he throws multiple guesses, and in the end, he still didn't know what he read.
Analyst, political ideology movement characterized by dictator leadership, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition. So I don't know what that means, bro. I swear to God. I don't know what the fuck a fascism is. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Multiple brain regions get activated when you read properly, but I want to focus on the occipital temporal cortex. This region of the brain allows you to recognize letters regardless of their location, font, and orientation, allowing you to read and spell both real words and fake words. The National Council had an article written on a brain scan of a non-reading kindergarten student. The image on the left shows how there is low brain activity in the occipital temporal region of the brain. When we examine the right image, we see that there's an increase of activity in the occipital temporal region after exposing the student to phonics. This demonstrates how methods like 3Qing literally underutilize this portion of the brain. If readers can't read the text in the first place, comprehension can never occur.
Quit doing that. Quit. You can't sound out. I don't know why you started doing that. Look at our car.
She said it's in the water.
That sounds much better.
Who?
It's just oh. Oh no.
Oh no, said Dad. And he ran outside onto the
Well, first of all, look, you've got this right? Look at the picture. You can use this if you need
Steps.
to. Get your mouth ready. Yeah, think about where would he run out to? The what?
Steps.
As it stands, according to the National Literacy Institute, 21% of US adults are illiterate, which is a little over 1 in 5 people. 54% of adults have literacy below a 6th grade level, 20% being below a 5th grade level. Illiteracy doesn't only affect reading, it also hurts other subjects as well. If you have poor phonics and or reading comprehension, word problems in math seem impossible to solve. Scientific topics seem like a foreign language. And social studies might as well be alphabet soup. Illiteracy also impacts health literacy, as the two are interconnected. Health literacy is the ability to find, understand, and use information and services to make health-related decisions and actions for yourself and others. For example, reading a nutrition label. Someone with good phonetic skills might be able to read out loud the label with proficiency, but without any fundamental comprehension of terms like saturated fat, fiber, or even serving size, they can't make an informed decision about their health when grocery shopping. This process becomes even worse when the person is completely illiterate. Their shopping becomes based on the marketing of the product or their personal cravings. Reading prescription drug instructions, understanding doctors' directions and consent forms all become extremely challenging, if not impossible. According to a National Library of Medicine study, in general, patients with low literacy had poorer health outcomes, including knowledge, intermediate disease markers, measures of morbidity, general health status, and use of health resources. After adjusting for age, gender, race, self-reported health, social economic status, and health insurance, illiterate patients within a year were 1.69% more likely to be hospitalized at a public hospital compared to patients who were literate. In another study, it was seen that illiterate individuals ages 65 years and older were almost 3 times as likely to have dementia at baseline compared to participants that were literate. Among those who did not have dementia at baseline, illiterate participants were twice as likely to develop dementia. In another study, totally illiterate participants had a 2.4 times the odds of being depressed, and partially illiterate individuals had a 1.59 times the odd of being depressed compared to literate participants after controlling for other variables. According to the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, many children around the world attend school but do not learn to read, write, or calculate. Many of these adults experience such frustrations as children that they deliberately avoid literacy-related activities in later life. When they have children of their own, they tend to communicate, often non-verbally, their negative feelings towards literacy and schooling to their children, and thus perpetuate an intergenerational cycle of illiteracy. According to the Annie E. Foundation, 4th grade reading proficiency is a key predictor of future academic achievement and even economic stability in adulthood. This is extremely concerning because in 2024, only 31% of 4th graders were at or above proficient in reading according to the NAEP. So that means 69% of these 4th graders were not reading at grade level. Again, 69% of 4th graders were not reading at grade level back in 2024. The NAEP, which is the National Assessment of Education Progress, also known as the Nation's Report Card, is a test enforced by Congress to monitor the academic achievement of U.S. students. The NAEP uses 3 defined achievement levels for each grade: NAEP Basic, Proficient, and Advanced. Students scoring NAEP Basic had partial mastery of the knowledge and skills that are fundamental for that grade. Students scoring NAEP Proficient had strong academic performance for their grade level and competency over challenging topics, including subject matter knowledge, application of such knowledge to real-world situations, and analytical skills appropriate to the subject matter. Students scoring NAEP Advanced have mastery of the first 2 levels, having superior academic performance as well. In 2024, 8% of 4th graders scored NAEP Advanced. Depending on their score, this meant they were able to explain the implied message of a poem using evidence from the poem, and or they could select texts that support an idea about a character's feelings. 23% of 4th graders scored NAEP Proficient. Students in this scoring level were able to recognize and inference about a main idea in a story. 29% of 4th graders were at NAEP Basic, and depending on their score, they could make an inference to recognize statements that best explain the actions of a story character, recognize an inference about what happens in a highlighted paragraph of a story, recognize an explanation for a character's actions explicitly stated in the story, recognize an inference about why a behavior is important for a character in a story, recognize an inference about a reason for an idea in a poem, and or recognize a reason for a character's actions that is implied in a section of a story. For those good at math, you might have realized 8% plus 23% plus 29% only adds up to 60%. 40% of 4th graders were below NAEP Basic in reading. This is the largest percentage since 2002. And yes, This means that they weren't able to perform any of the skills that I read off. The World Literacy Foundation stated this, quote, 2/3 of children in the United States who could not read proficiently by the end of 4th grade will eventually end up in jail or on welfare.
Have a beautiful day.
You too.
I got it for you.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
God bless you.
Did you already pay for them?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, thank you.
All right, have a good day. God bless you.
All right, bye-bye.
Over 70% of inmates in American prisons cannot read above a 4th grade level. 85% of juveniles who appear before the court system are functionally low literate. Illiteracy is not something you can simply grow out of. 70% of 8th graders are at or below NAEP basic, 33% being below specifically. When looking at high school seniors, 65% were at or below NAEP basic. Reasons such as social media addiction, rise in absenteeism,
Science, passing that too. 0.46. Nigga, now you trying to clip for him, nigga. Now you trying to clip for him, nigga. What the? Oh, nigga, cause nigga, that's the first period class. It's the first period class, so I don't go there. I just missed the class, so it's like it ain't my fault. I'm failing, niggas. How the fuck will you even get lower than a 1? How? I mean, you just not there. Yes, I'm saying I'm literally not there. Like literally, on God, I'm literally not there. So it's like it's not my fault. I'm failing, nigga. I ain't dumb, nigga. Nigga. It's just that nigga. I'm not there.
3 QM practices, AI, federal funding cuts, COVID, social promotion.
France's son attends Augusta Fells Savage Institute of Visual Arts in West Baltimore. His transcripts show in 4 years, he has passed just 3 classes, earning 2.5 credits, which places him in 9th grade. But France says she didn't know that until February. She has 3 children and works 3 jobs. She thought her oldest son was doing well because even though he failed most of his classes, he was being promoted. His transcripts show he failed Spanish 1 and Algebra 1, but was promoted to Spanish 2 and Algebra 2. He also failed English 2, but was passed on to English 3.
And of course, the reading wars, among other things, all contribute to these alarming statistics. I know that was a lot of doom oats to take in, but these statistics aren't talked about enough. And even though things seem bleak, we actually aren't doomed. Currently, we are fighting this rise in illiteracy using the science of reading. The science of reading is research based on how the brain processes written words. It spans more than 100 papers, and the research has been growing for more than 5 decades. It is backed by studies from education, linguistics, psychology, and neurology experts. The great thing about the science of reading is it can be and has been applied in multiple ways. Play the intro.
Doink. PBS Kids.
PBS Kids utilize research based on the science of reading with its shows. Super Y, Between the Lions, and Electric Company are a few of the many shows that applies the science of reading. These shows had segments that focus on phonics to teach kids their foundations. PBS Kids shows also taught semantics so kids could learn the meaning of words and sentences. An independent review of 45 studies, which included nearly 25,000 children between the ages of 2 and 8 years old, found that PBS Kids media and resources increase children's early literacy skills, such as letter recognition, vocabulary development, and phonological and phonemic awareness. PBS Kids also improved the gap between lower and middle income students, giving 9 million low-income students access to its shows. As some of you guys are aware, the Trump administration gutted funding from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in 2025, leading to the CPB being dissolved January 2026. The CPB was a big donor to PBS, but contrary to popular belief, PBS isn't being shut down. PBS received around 15% of its funding from the CPB, and in response to it shutting down, they had to do a 21% budget cut, leading to 15% of their staff being laid off. Though it is sad that they had to do this, PBS and PBS Kids are still operating, and they are still continuing to educate children. I looked up how much it was to donate and have a subscription to PBS, and it was surprisingly $5. So if you're able to, especially if you're a parent, I would recommend donating. And I want to emphasize that I said donating. PBS Kids is still free despite the reduced funding. Aside from PBS Kids, the science of reading when used in a systematic way in schools forms structured literacy. According to Lexia, quote, systematic means the skills are taught in a stair-step fashion. Each skill builds on the last, and they are taught in a logical order that starts with simple information and becomes progressively more complex. Structured literacy combines together at minimum phonology, sound symbol association, syllables, syntax, and semantics. With structured literacy, skills are directly taught, and teachers diagnose strengths and weaknesses of students to help them advance in their literacy. Aside from structured literacy, the science of reading has also been implemented into legislation and laws. Currently, 40 states, in addition to Washington, D.C., have passed science of reading laws. Back in 2013, Mississippi had one of the lowest 4th grade reading scores in the country, being ranked 49 on the nation's report card. Since then, the state has aggressively passed science of reading laws, and in 2024, their 4th graders were ranked 9th in the country. A crazy transformation everyone has been calling the Mississippi Miracle. I mentioned earlier how negative 3Qing was for students learning to read. Currently, 10 states have banned 3Qing instructions in schools. 4 of these states also banning teacher preparation programs from teaching 3Qing. With the age of the internet, there are multiple free online resources like Starfall and Funbrain. Starfall has sections focused on teaching phonics, which kids and adults can use. The website caters towards children learning how to read for the first time, but learning to read isn't exclusive to children. Starfall also has books for users to read with varying levels. Aside from Starfall, there's also Funbrain. Funbrain is a website with an array of books in its reading sections from recognizable authors. This is a great resource for those who can't always take their child to the library. Speaking about libraries, many libraries provide free adult literacy programs. This includes adult basic literacy skills, pre-GED, GED, English as a second language, and family literacy. If your library doesn't provide these services, the Office for Diversity, Literacy, and Outreach Services partnered with Pro Literacy to develop a free online course that guides libraries in integrating adult literacy services and policies to help meet the needs of U.S. adults who lack adequate literacy and basic skills. With the age of the internet, there are multiple professionals who make videos on YouTube to improve adult literacy. Ran by certified reading and dyslexia specialist April McCurtry, The channel Learn Reading has multiple adult literacy videos for individuals with and without dyslexia. Dyslexia and education scientist R.Hay makes content for dyslexic adults. Dyslexia is a fairly common brain-based disorder that causes difficulty with reading and processing written language. It is estimated that 1 in 10 people have dyslexia. One notable video by R.Hay is a dyslexia test that helps adults determine if they potentially are dyslexic.
What is going on? How come you never told me you had dyslexia? I was too embarrassed. I'm your best friend. I know every embarrassing thing about you. And there's a lot. I know you sometimes sleep with your baby blanket. I know you still can't get on some of the big kid rides at the park. Cece, this isn't something you need to be embarrassed about. How do you know? I see letters, and sometimes it just looks like alphabet soup. I wake up every day terrified that I might have to read something out loud. I never knew that. Because I didn't want you to know.
Being Gen Z, we grew up with shows that had dumb characters. There was Cat Valentine, PJ Duncan, Drake Bell, Zach Martin, Patrick Star, Richard Watterson, Cosmo, Rigby Riggerson, the list goes on. And these characters were meant to provide comedic relief. But it also indirectly taught 2 things. 1, you're either smart or you're not. And 2, if someone isn't smart, laugh at them.
How to spell sexual pleasure?
Sexual pleasure? S-E-X-U-A-L space P-L-E-S-S-U-R-E.
Get the out here! Get the fuck out here, boy!
Let me see!
It's here. Look here.
Okay, this is the dumbest nigga in the world. Yo, this is the dumbest
hold
nigga in the
on,
world.
wait,
Wait, shut
hold
up. Get the fuck out of here.
No.
No. That's the definition, dumb. No, the word is groping. Look.
Put it can all spark.
Bust that Rolly Avalanche. Damn, I just shit my pants.
Do you look gone on advances? Look, I do.
Stop playing with me.
I'm not playing.
So after all these years, you didn't tell me you couldn't read?
Bro, that's why I've been practicing. That's why I bought these books for.
Gee, we've been together for 4 years, and this whole time you couldn't read.
Because his learning experience has impacted his mental health to the point where he hates himself and he wants to unalive himself.
When you say unalive himself, what do you mean?
I mean suicidal ideations. And he only has these thoughts at school. He's actually written a letter in school saying, "Just let me die."
Everyone can be educated. The brain is plastic and grows and changes even in adulthood. So why believe a narrative built on lies? Everyone is capable of learning to read, including your friends, your grandparents, your spouse, your child, and especially you.
Three years ago, she enrolled in adult education classes and received her high school diploma. Now she's a school custodian, a job she wouldn't have qualified for in the past because she needs to be able to read and write every day.
You gotta know everything that's labeled because of, some chemicals can be really harmful. Some you can't mix together.
Crawford orders cleaning supplies, reads machinery manuals, and fills out accident reports. She says her life now is a dream come true, a stable job with benefits.
If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have my smile today, and it always smiling. And I can't stop, even if I cry.